Once we move away from summarization using Microsoft 365 Copilot, we can get creative in how it can support our decision-making processes and even highlight areas that we may have missed. In this example, let's look at Copilot supporting a triage risk assessment procedure for social workers. On the many iterations of assessment prompt creation I went through, on one occasion, Copilot introduced me to rubrics. Now, this offered me the chance to create a scoring or grading mechanism as part of the assessment process based on criteria and scoring that I controlled. Now, while working with a UK-based local government authority social worker team, they took this rubric plan and created their own and shared it with me. Now, I was able to apply this rubric to an anonymized Teams meeting transcript to make sure it followed the structured criteria and not one that Copilot generated itself. And this is the prompt I created. First, I define the reference documentation. In the prompt boxes in Copilot, being able to set the resources first means the person running the prompt doesn't need to scroll through and edit the rest. In this case, the references are the Teams meeting transcripts and the rubric scoring criteria. I'll show you what that looks like when we run it. Next are the requirements. This is where I define the persona I want Copilot to be when running through the content, to determine the level of risk a service user exhibits in the transcript, and to use the rubric for the assessment. The format section focuses on what I want Copilot to create. This includes the creation of a table and, based on each rubric criteria, determine the score for each part and include a reason for that score. I want to be confident in why Copilot has set a particular score, and we could even set it to quote evidence from the transcript to support this. At the end of the table, Copilot must total up the scores, then, based on the results, present a risk evaluation based on where the total appears. So in this case, low, medium, or high. Finally, I've added a constraint section, as sometimes we need to tell Copilot what not to do. In my example, I want to make sure Copilot doesn't deviate from the transcript, not to create a summary, not to add additional columns I didn't specify, and to use the full transcript and not just samples. So my output must be just a table, score, and evaluation, and this prompt will give me that every time I run it. Let me show you the results. Here's the Teams meeting transcript. It was taken using the Teams app on a mobile device while the social worker was in the room with the service user. Next is the rubric. This is the case note triage scoring mechanism put together by the local government authority, including customized scoring based on each of the criteria descriptions. Now, inside of Copilot's business chat, I'll paste in the prompt and add the references to the transcript and the triage rubric. Maybe this is me being overcautious, but stating that I do not want Copilot to create a summarization at the beginning helps to reinforce what I don't want it to do. Now, once the response starts coming through, Copilot has created just the table and the columns that I defined in the prompt. I can see that where no evidence in the transcript was given, it's marked these criteria with a 0. It's separated different elements from the self-neglect criteria and expanded each of them with reasoning. Now, at the bottom, the response includes the total from the scoring, and based on that, it has classified the service user as high risk. Now remember, we can continue that conversation once the main prompt is completed. So here, I identify what actions should be taken from a high-risk assessment. And now the team is ready to double-check the response with the case notes and align social workers to agree on the scoring and to support the next level of care needed.